Steve continuing to talk so that Allison can mute her darling. Oh, that is because actually you nope, unmuted.
Did I post the show?
We are live.
All right. That's why I hear you twice. Hello, everybody. Let me fix that. Oh, voice and video. Change my audio output to my microphone so I hear Steve once. Hello, dear.
Hello. How are you hearing me once now?
I am. I'm hearing you once. Let's take a look and see whether you see live clock on Hindenburg.
Okay, just I got to turn you off. The second you. Hold on here. Okay, I hear you once.
Okay.
So you want to see live clock?
Yeah.
Yep.
Want to see if it's live?
Looks like it's working.
All right. We've changed our process yet again. I should save that. So I think I have to do. Oh, good. Wheels is here. We can start the show.
Frank made it.
Frank has made 2 fabulous recordings. He did a review, which I'm not going to let you listen to yet. Oh, I didn't post security bits. Better post it. Send a blog. Some items in the entry are missing. Yes, I want to send it. So Bart did all the show notes and I wrote them up and I didn't post it. So I don't have a link for you yet, Steve.
All right.
It's coming. And it's there 2 seconds ago. And I got to put a logo on it and then it will be live. Luckily, I don't have a ton of the content today, so we can fool around some.
Oh, good. Fool around time.
Fool around time. Don't give Frank the
mic,
the open mic there. All right. In just a second, security bits should be there. View post. There we go. Oh my gosh. That's somebody else getting that much snow.
Woo.
All right. Here, Steve. Well, actually, I'll do it this way. I'll actually edit the real file. Security bits. We should do a Mars edit, and that'll go here. So there's something interesting going on with Catalina. Maybe I'll just complain about it in the show.
Live?
That's what I'll do. Yep.
Uh-oh.
Send a blog.
Off script.
Yeah. Let's see. So I've got 3 things. Let me make a couple of notes here. I am going to talk about Catalina, and it's going to be, let's see, Safari.
Oh, and there's security bits.
Control. System. Oh, got it?
Yep.
My scripts. And there's Finder window. And there's menu bar apps. All right. Dorothy's here. John's here.
Yeah. Have you done roll call?
I have not done roll call because I am busy getting some content ready here. Let me get rid of this and get rid of this. And I can just, I don't need to watch Mimo Live, right? I need that. I don't need photos open. I don't need that open. Cleaning up. I was totally ready. Well, it just occurred to me a couple things would be good here. Yeah, there we go. That's what I need. All right. I think we're ready for roll call. All right, let's see. Roll call. We've got Kevin and Dave and Ian and Jill and Rick and Sandy. And I saw Wheel sneak in. And let's see, it says Geeko Supremo, but I don't think he's really here. And Dorothy is here. And John and Rose and Titanbot, whoever that is. All right. I think we're in good shape. Let me drop in the audio and see if by any chance anybody can hear it. NosillaCast intro. And we'll bring that down to about, I like that, about 13 something. All right, tell me if you can hear this. All right, we have music. We're going to save this episode to start with so we don't have to do it later. And see, yep. All right, are we ready? Places, everyone. Places. Oh, this is Mimo Live is using a lot more of my processor now. I'm almost using half. Got to show you guys this. This is so cool. Check this out. Oh, I am bleeding.
Oh, sorry. You want to get something?
No, I'm Band-Aid? Not bleeding much. No, but I'm bleeding on my keyboard.
Not dead yet.
Not dead yet. Sorry about that. False alarm. See, I was going to take a screenshot here is what I was going to do. And I think I did. And I was going to paste it into here.
You got a sharp keyboard?
Yes. So that is, that's my Mac running. All that I'm doing is running Discord, Mars Edit, Hindenburg, Text Expander, Slack, Mimo Live, Safari for no reason, Chrome, Moom, Audio Hijack. Mail is still open. Oh, I got a couple things I could get rid of here. Mail and text edit and reminders. You know what? I just don't need to close things. I had Twitter running. Let's see. What else?
It's like tabs in a browser. Just leave them open. Just let them run.
Yeah, why bother? Okay, let me get rid of Safari because I definitely don't need Safari. All right. So now let's take that picture again and see what I got going. Doing a live broadcast. I think it went higher. Nope, there we go. Let's see. This is fun. Ooh. Oh, this is even more fun. Look at that picture. Here is the all cores view.
All cores all the time.
Right? But look at that. That's a cool way to look at it. So the bottom line is it's using about half of my processors to do the live show. So that's kind of fun. Looks like something from MoMA. Is that the Museum of Modern Art? All right. I should probably start.
All right.
Here we go. I don't know how to mute you, so.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I don't trust you. All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan with the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, December 1st, 2019, and this is show number 760. We've got a great show for you this week, but I think my favorite part will be the ad that's going to run in the middle, also known as Pledge Break by the irrepressible Frank Petrie, also known as Wheels in the live chat room. Before we get started, though, I'd like to complain about the continuing dumpster fire that is the Mac OS update Catalina. I started noticing something, you know, things happen where you think something and then you're like, man, I must be wrong. I can't possibly be right about that. I've been adding menu bar apps and then they go away or they don't start at login, even though I'm sure I told them to start at login. And what I've noticed it on is MonoSnap, my favorite screenshot utility. Then I've got a Finder window, or in all my Finder windows, I put 5 different apps into the Finder window because they're just the kind of things that I need to drag things onto. Like I've got my ID3 editor that I drag my MP3 file onto that adds all the ID3 tags. And I've got a Libsyn droplet that lets me FTP the file up. I mean, why open an app to do that when I could just drag it on there? And 2 days ago, they all disappeared. They were just gone. Now, the other one I just noticed now is I've got a script that I've written that takes the URL and the title of my blog post and copies it and formats it into a nice way where I can splat it into, there's one for Twitter and there's one for MarsEdit, my blogging software. And I just realized it keeps saying, do you want to allow Safari to control system events? It's asked me that like 4 times. I kept thinking, oh, I thought I'd done that before, but it just did it again just now. And I know I used it earlier today. I mentioned this in our Slack group at podfeet.com/Slack, and I got 2 replies. Nuclear John said this absolutely is happening to him every time he reboots. He feels like he has to reset up his computer. And Chris Hitorari made a great joke. He said, you're seeing Apple's UIP implementation in effect. User integrity protection against unauthorized alteration of any settings whatsoever. Anyway, that's our story, and we're sticking to it. All right, that was winged, but I've got a long delay on my voice. Let me see what Audio Hijack is doing. Check my settings for that. Yeah, I thought so. There we go. There's an audio processing thing that can change from lower latency to more reliable. And when it's on more reliable, it's like a half a second behind. And the whole time I was talking just now, I was like slowing down. Maybe I should just use it to slow down. What do you think? Steve, you're muted.
We are getting some glitching on the NDI screen.
You mean on Mimo Live?
Yeah.
It looks like an NDI stream to you. Yeah, I noticed that. Was the whole thing flashing?
No, just Hindenburg.
That's the only thing coming from Mimo Live is Hindenburg.
Your face cam isn't coming from... Oh, it's coming as a Mimo
face
call.
Face cam's coming through Mimo call.
Yeah.
Well, there's no excuse for that. All right. So I did see it kind of flashing in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen here.
Oh, wait a minute. What happened here?
What? Just
the
change. What if he... That was weird.
So now the Hindenburg's gotten all messed up.
Hang on.
I don't know what happened there.
Let me change the shape of it. I wondered if I moved it or something. Can you disconnect and reconnect to me or anything?
Let me try this.
I'm changing its shape and size to see if that'll affect it. Good thing we have lots of time. You should let me know if you're going to show my whole screen, but I guess that's it. Actually, that's all of my screens.
So this is, it is just a portion of, it's like the resolution changed somehow.
Yeah, now you've got it sitting on, you've got it sitting on top of the Discord window.
Yeah, this is what it looks like. It's just, it doesn't occupy the entire window.
Leave it there for a second. And let me refresh my screen. It's me. Oop. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, that didn't fix it. That's weird. I stopped it altogether. So it's like you've lost the signal. Let me stop it, and then you disconnect from it.
Okay.
So maybe it's off right now. So you shouldn't be... If you're getting anything, I'm not sending it.
Okay.
So... Can you disconnect from that source or anything?
There, I'll just show me twice.
Okay. So now I'm gonna start it up again.
Okay.
And reacquire it now. See if that helps.
Oh. No. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Oh.
Wait, you've got 2 of them.
It's what?
You've got a functioning one and a non-functioning one now. My video got bright again. We obviously have full control of the situation. I think you've got an extra one going. Well, I think I should probably keep going, so I don't quite know what Steve's doing over there. All right. This is going to be the chit chat. All right, here we go. Nope. This week's episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond was a Programming by Stealth episode, and I'm not going to lie, it was a bit headbendy. Bart explains JavaScript, iterator objects, and generator functions. Without his excellent examples, I am certain I would never have been able to get the concepts to even slightly congeal in my brain. Iterator objects and generator functions are some of the joys of ES6, and they have great value, but they're really abstract. For example, generator functions disappear after you use them. Isn't that awesome? Anyway, Bart demonstrates the value of these concepts in the succinctness of the code examples that he gives us. In the last 15 minutes or so of the episode, he gives us his solution to a challenge for those who have finished their homework. So he's giving a new challenge, but he's going to show you his solution. Before he gives us that solution, Bart and I yell, "Spoiler alert!" And we make all these alarming noises that you can't possibly miss so that you'll know that the solution is coming. Anyway, the problem to be solved that he's going to give us this challenge is to create a little web app that generates the Fibonacci sequence on screen. Bart's solution is a fantastic example of the elegance of the tools we have at hand. Because in one little tiny HTML file with a grand total of 166 lines, half of which are comments or line feeds, jQuery allows him to cleanly access HTML elements, ES6 allows him to cleanly add actions to buttons in his form, and Bootstrap makes the buttons and forms gorgeous. It's a fabulous example of how the tools make it so much easier and quicker to make beautiful web apps. I did really have fun, even though it was a bit headbendy. You can listen to this week's Programming by Stealth in your podcatcher of choice, or listen over at podfeet.com, or even better, listen along and read along over at bartbouchots.ie. Okay, that blinking is bothering me.
Yeah, there's not anything I can do about that.
No. So I think I should kill this and go back to NDI.
Okay.
You willing to do that?
Sure.
I have to save and add a chapter marker first while you get ready for me to move.
Okay.
You don't seem keen on the idea.
No, I'm up for it. Let me just get to those settings.
All right. So I'm just going to stop show and I'm going to quit that. And I'm going to try NDI again. It seems like we had a process to get NDI to behave itself, didn't we?
I thought so.
Like I refreshed or something?
Okay, I'm not sure which of these NDI inputs from you. There's only one active right now, so it might show your screen.
And that's the NDI one.
All right, there we go.
And the clock is currently moving? Nope.
No.
Well, that's interesting. What do you think's causing that?
I don't know.
Did the NDI sign an NDA? Okay, well, maybe we just show your face. You don't like that, though. All right. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go back here. And podcatcher is not 2 words. Podcatcher. Found a typo there. I think there's another one earlier, but too lazy to go look for it. All right. There we go. Okay, we're doing Tesla Tech Nomad Qi Charger next.
Okay.
That's good. All Imagine a car where when you set your phone down on the console, it was just magically charging. Well, the Tesla can't do that. Not without a little help. One of the great advances in car technology has been the ability to charge your cell phone in the car. Am I right? It's like awesome. The first time you got USB-A ports, you were really excited. If you're really lucky, you might even have USB ports in the back seat for those pesky lower class passengers. As well as this is, I should say, unless you're a neat freak who puts the cables away when you're not using them, now you've got wires hanging all over the place and it looks really stupid. I'm going to start that over because it was swell. As swell. Wait, I didn't say to close. I must have. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. I don't think I like my opening. One of the great advances in in-car technology has been the ability to charge your cell phone in the car. Am I right? I mean, USB-A ports were such a welcome addition. If you're really lucky, you might even have USB ports in the back seat for those pesky lower class passengers. As swell as that is, unless you're a neat freak who puts the cables away when you're not using them, now we've got wires hanging all over the place and it looks terrible. The Tesla Model 3 has a fairly nice solution for this, but I bought an accessory that makes it even better. The Model 3 has an interesting center console between the seats. As with most cars, there's an armrest that opens up to a giant chamber where you can throw things. They did add a little felt covered tray on top, so little things you get to all the time aren't buried in there with all the junk that inevitably ends up in that center console. But if you go forward from the armrest, there's a very smooth plastic cover that is, by the way, super prone to dust, fingerprints, and fine scratches, which is really nice. Anyway, you might not notice that this is a cover for anything, but a gentle tug flips it open to reveal another giant chamber for losing things. Let's call that the slick cover so I don't have to keep describing which one I mean. So then once you pull that up, or actually in front of the slick cover, there's a rubber coated area at the very front, tilted at around 45 degrees, made to rest two phones. We're going to call this the phone rest. If you open the slick cover I described, you can tilt up the phone rest to reveal two USB-A ports underneath. You can plug in a couple of USB charging cables for your phones, and when you close the slick cover, there's actually a gap to allow you to pull the cables out for use. But now the cables are kind of coming up over a ledge and your phone is sitting on that same ledge. So you'd essentially have to have your phone upside down to accept the cables on top. Or you could lay your phone down on the slick cover, but you're clearly doing it wrong. Instead, what you're supposed to do is plug the USB-A end into that giant chamber, then feed the other end, like the micro USB or the or Lightning or USB-C end. You want to feed that in through the underside of that slick cover. When you do that, in theory, you can bend it around in a very unnatural way to feed up through to the bottom of the phone rest. If you succeed at this cable contortion, when you put your phone on the armrest, you can push it down to connect the cable. No mess, no fuss. And of course, that cable contortion is impossible to achieve. Now, I know I saw it in place at the Tesla dealer, but I think it was sorcery that they were able to do it. I worked on it for about a half hour, and I simply could not get the cables to bend 90 degrees to fit into the slot the way they had to. Now, I know there are 90-degree bend cables, but they still wouldn't have fit in this close corner. Robert Simmons of the SMR podcast convinced me to buy the Tesla in the first place, mostly by his enthusiasm about it. I go to him for all of my problem solving with the car, and he had a great solution for the dangling cable mess. He suggested the Nomad Qi Charger from HelloNomad.com. This is a platform that simply rests right where the existing phone rest goes, but it has two USB cables hanging out of the back of it. You plug those into the two internal ports in the big chamber underneath, and now you can simply set any wireless charging capable phone down on it, and it will immediately start to charge. There is no fussing with cables at all, no mess visible in the car. When you lay your phone down on the Nomad Qi Charger, a little light turns amber to indicate white when it's fully charged. While it does sit at a convenient angle for viewing, it's really too far and it turns down and away for Face ID detection on iPhone, and it definitely takes your eyes well off the road if you look at it down there. But it is charging and it is, handy. You can kind of see it. The Nomad Qi Charger is $70 from HelloNomad.com, but I know you're really wishing you could use a Podfeet Amazon affiliate link to buy it. I did a search and I found several similar devices to the Nomad. If you're interested, you might check out the TapTez version, which is Amazon's choice, for only $40, and it looks exactly like the Nomad Qi Charger to me. Now, the more astute of you may have been thinking that the one problem is that now you don't have any usable USB ports underneath that cover, except for the ones in the back seat, of course. For under $10 on Amazon, you can get a USB cable splitter. Of course, there's an Amazon affiliate link to that too. Anyway, that cable splitter gives you a sneeze. Oh, shoot.
Bless you.
So close. I didn't sneeze. Ah. All right, where was I? Of course, there's an Amazon affiliate. For under $10. So close. I will save. For under $10 on Amazon, you can get a USB cable splitter. This gives you one male USB end, and then it splits into two female USB-As on the other end. I bought two of these, plugged the male end into the regular USB-A port under the console, and then I plugged the Nomad into the female connector on each of the splitters. That leaves me with two USB ports still available if I need to charge non-wireless chargeable phones or whatever I've got. I have to admit that with these two splitters in the mix and two USB cables plugged into them, it is a big fat mess inside the Ford console. I threw a microfiber cloth over all of it, and Steve added another little felt covered tray for sunglasses, and now we don't have to look at the mess. Bottom line is that I think the Nomad Qi Charger is the... You know what? I just thought of something. I have to admit that with these two, it is a big fat mess inside the Ford console. Both plugged into them. And I've plugged in an SSD to actually record all the video off of my cameras, so it is a giant mess inside that Ford console. I threw a microfiber cloth over all of it, and then Steve added a little felt covered tray for his sunglasses, and now at least we don't have to look at the mess. The bottom line is that I think the Nomad Qi Charger is the best accessory I've gotten for the Tesla Model 3. I love the clean lines, not having to think about charging, and how it's agnostic on phone platform. All right. Mail was spelled M-A-I-L in here.
Sure.
Where was the swell? Swell. And I don't think it was supposed to be M-A-I-L. M-A-L-E. And
swell was the second paragraph. Do you want me to change it?
Nope. I've got it.
All right.
There was another one, but we'll just leave that for fun. Okay, sending that back to the blog. And I bet Kevin's telling me to save and add a chapter marker.
Yep.
So did you decide to I need that one first. Did you decide to just bail on showing my screen?
No, there's a setting in NDI for something called low bandwidth, which I turned on.
Yeah, that looks terrible.
It looks terrible, but it updates.
It updates?
Yeah, look at the clock. You can almost see the second hand. So that is the culprit.
You want to make a note of that for our next note to Oliver?
Yeah, this is something we've experienced before, but we'll try it again.
Yeah, but now there's nobody in the index. But yeah, there's nobody in the mix but his stuff now, because it was blinking with actually we could show him a spot in the video, right?
Yeah.
And we know it's not my Mac because my Mac has got 77% idle right now.
77 idle?
Idle.
Wow. I'm 77% consumed.
Actually, you know what? What happened was I got rid of Mimo Live. So without Mimo Live, just running NDI, this is what it looks like now.
Wow.
Look at that. It's crazy. It's crazy, I tell you. All right, Frank, settle down. We're getting ready. We're almost there. Mimo does it to you too. It does the blinking? Eric Idle. You know, Frank, your brain just doesn't work the same as everybody else, does it? Just wired a little. Jill's 100% idle. All right, I'll take that. Oh, Jill, next time you come out, you got to meet Dorothy. Mac Lurker. The processor. Oh, it uses a lot? Yeah. Not as much as it used to. That's why I'm unemployed. All right. Muting Steve. All right, here we go. You know I'm not a Luddite and that I like new applications better than just about anybody. I may have illogical loyalty to an app here and there, like how long I stayed with Super Duper when I clearly should have switched to Carbon Copy Cloner, but by and large, I move on with relative ease. There's one app I just can't seem to leave. A few years ago, the app Wunderlist, and more importantly, the team who created it, was purchased by Microsoft. They announced that Wunderlist was at end of life, but that they'd be keeping it alive while they developed its replacement over at Microsoft. I was worried, but you know, what are you going to do? Before I go too far, I should explain my use case for Wunderlist. I don't actually use it for to-dos for the most part. I use Wunderlist mostly for lists to share with others. For example, if Steve and I are going to his mom's or Lindsay's, we often think of things here and there that we want to bring with us. We have a shared list we call Bring to Lindsay's, and that gets reused at least once a month. Now, these lists aren't full packing lists because, of course, those are done as a mind map in iThoughts. Sharing, though, is a key feature that I use all the time. I have to be able to share my lists. Since I have several of these Bring To lists, I created a folder in Wunderlist called Packing Lists. In Wunderlist, you add lists to a folder by using a simple drag and drop. You can then close up the folder with a little chevron to tidy things up. You can drag lists and folders up and down to the left sidebar, so the ones I use are always at the top. I have probably, around 78 lists, I think. So folders and the ability to keep only a few lists visible is also key. You know what? This is not the current version. I need to refresh this. Oh, you went to any list. Maybe you can do a review of that, Jill, because the end of this story is that I'm still back on Wunderlist. Refreshing to get my new version. Come on. I will know I have that's not the right one yet. Because I know I corrected it. It said I have 100 lists, but I know I only have 78. Man, it's taken forever to pull my post back down. Oh, John's still on Wunderlist. Only 78. Okay, there we go. Does this say 78 now? No. Well, okay. Third time's a charm. Now is it done? Huh. I must not have saved those changes. Well, let's hope there's no stumbling audio typos. Is also key. Okay, there we go. Wunderlist has subtasks, which I find really helpful. Now, not all of my list items require that feature, but when you need to add more detail, it's super useful. You can set due dates, have reminders, and assign tasks to people. All of that isn't, completely necessary, so I wouldn't have to put those in my mandatory category, but I would put subtasks in my mandatory category. I would also put the ability to add more detail to a task as a key feature. Wunderlist has an open note area that I use more often than you would think, and you can add attachments. That's usually an image in my use case, but both of these features are key to me. Cross-platform compatibility and syncing are also mandatory in my list of requirements. Wunderlist works on pretty much every platform and even has a web interface that mirrors the desktop and mobile experience. After maybe a year, Microsoft came out with their first version of their replacement app for Wunderlist, and they called it simply To Do, so it's impossible to find. Anyway, Microsoft To Do is free in the Mac App Store. I did some testing, and it felt a lot like Wunderlist, but newer and more polished and really pretty. A new paint job with the same functionality sounded great to me. Steve is the person with whom I share more lists than anyone, so I announced to him that we had a new solution to replace the perfectly functioning but end of life Wunderlist. The first time I gave it a spin, I discovered immediately that it did not allow you to share lists. As quickly as the excitement started, it waned. I told Steve it was a false alarm. We both deleted To Do, but I stayed on Microsoft's mailing list about it. About 6 months or so later, Microsoft sent out a note saying they'd added the ability to share lists. Huzzah! It's all wonderful now. I told Steve that this time I really meant it. To Do for Microsoft was going to replace Wunderlist for us. Wunderlist now works exactly as I wanted to. Wait, God, this is not the right version. I edited this and this is a mess. Wunderlist that works exactly as we wanted to. That doesn't make any sense at all. Sorry. And that is at least one. Sorry, I've been taking screenshots of typos to try to remember. It's open. I use oftener. Sorry about this. I don't know what's happened to my. Where'd it go? Boy, it's hard to find things. I would put the ability to add. There it is. What is it? Whoa. To add more detail to. Oh, okay, there we go. So often. You can also add attachments. Okay, where was I? This is not making any sense. To Do for Microsoft was going to replace Wunderlist for us. Wunderlist works. To Do is Microsoft was going to finally. Sorry. Told you this time I really meant it. Oh, that's yeah. Okay. I did just write the sentence weird. This time I really meant it. To Do for Microsoft was going to replace Wunderlist for us. Okay, that's just a stupid sentence. Take it out. Okay. After I twisted Steve's arm and convinced him to install To Do on all of his devices again, I went to town starting to transfer my list from Wunderlist to To Do. Luckily, in To Do, you can simply import from Wunderlist. And, that makes sense since it's the same developers writing them both. Unfortunately, I'd created a lot of glop earlier in To Do, and I had to painstakingly delete each list and its items by hand before doing the import. After I ran the import from Wunderlist into To Do, I realized there was no way to add a folder structure in To Do. Now, I know I could clean up some of my lists, but I have 78 of them in Wunderlist, like I said. I've got some old lists. I've got some that I've got tucked away under folders called random old lists. But, sometimes I need those, and I've got to have a folder structure for that. Without folders, I couldn't see how I could possibly stand using To Do. I had to confess to Steve that this was not the solution we were looking for. Back we went to Wunderlist. After a few more months, I got an email from Microsoft telling me that the single most asked for feature was finally being added, the ability to put lists into folders. I decided not to torture Steve until I was sure that To Do was really going to work this time. I installed it on all my devices, And that time I didn't delete everything one by one and import again from Wunderlist, but instead I just kind of played around with putting lists into folders. After getting them all organized just so on my Mac, I looked at the iOS version and it only half synced my carefully curated folders. I thought maybe it would take a little while to sync the changes across, but they never did get into sync. Back into the bin went to do. I am sorry to keep stopping, guys, but there's a whole big section I rewrote. This is going to be the wrong version. Let me see if I've got another version of this. Yes, I do. Oh, no, that's this one edited today. Dagnabbit, I think I've written over it now. Yep. Well, we'll see how good I am at remembering what I did. Am I missing anything? All right. Nobody's paying attention to me. That's good. I'm not being that interesting. With iOS 13 and macOS Catalina, we have a brand new reminders. It works off a new database structure, and it looks like it might have everything Steve and I want. You can share lists. You can create groups of lists, which are essentially folders. You can indent lists, so they're essentially subtasks like in Wunderlist. They've put in a dedicated field for URLs, which is pretty handy as well. One of the main types of lists we share is the ones for Christmas shopping. Lots of times there are URLs of what we're going to buy online, so it's really nice to have that dedicated field. And you can even add images to reminders. This seemed like the perfect solution for our Apple-centric family. What could be better than something that comes built in? Well, I'll tell you what could be better. It could be better if it actually worked. Reminders in its current incarnation as of November 2019 is a constant source of frustration. Groups are probably the worst in terms of not working properly. I created 11 lists inside that group for the 11 people we buy for. So far, so good. I shared each list individually over to Steve. We both created a Christmas group on our own, which is totally fine. And we had to drag the lists into the group, but that's fine because I don't think really forcing one person's organization model onto another is a good idea anyway. So sharing the lists and then us creating our own groups was fine. But that's when things started to go down the toilet. I was able to drag and drop each of my Christmas lists into my Christmas group on my Mac. Steve tried to do the same thing from his iPhone, but dragging the list did not drop them into the group. All right, fine. He went to his Mac to do it. All of the lists would move into his Christmas group, except for two. They simply would not move. Later on, I discovered that one person's Christmas list was not inside the Christmas group on my phone, but it is inside the group on my Mac. So syncing isn't working properly. Since I can't move it on my phone, and technically it's already inside, according to my Mac's version, there's nothing I can do but stare at that one recalcitrant list. The most annoying thing is that while tapping on a group name will fold it up neatly, and tapping again will reveal the contents of the group, really often the groups just kind of spontaneously open. I'll be working in my podcast group, looking at one list item, and suddenly my Christmas group pops open and reveals itself, pushing the podcast list down below the bottom of the window. I have to fold Christmas back up to be able to view the podcast group. Now, I didn't put this next thing in my requirements, but being able to bring back a completed item in a list is essential. Let's take the bring to Lindsay's example. I bring my own pillows, so that's on my list. I check it off when packing up, but the next time we're preparing to go to her house, I bring it back from the completed items conveniently available within each list. I couldn't seem to find completed items in reminders on the Mac, so I resorted to using help. According to the Reminders user guide, it says, quote, in the Reminders app on your Mac, scroll to the top of the reminder list until you see completed, then click Show. Okay, there's two problems with this. If I did find it there, it would be all completed items for all lists. So I'd have to scroll past Christmas presents I've already purchased, action items I've completed in my daily life and my podcast life, just in order to find my pillows. That's actually problem two. Hidden after the fact that there is no completed list at the top like they said there is. I've got today, scheduled, all, and flagged, and right after that it says my list. If I go into a list with everything completed, it says all completed in the center with a big fat 0 in the upper right for how many things I have left to complete. Nowhere does it show me my list of completed items, but I found a secret way to get them to show. With a list open that is showing all lists completed, I typed completed into the search bar. This popped me out of the list I was in and showed one item under results for completed. After executing that fruitless search, I went back into the original list, and now it shows 12 completed at the top with a show button. When clicked, will reveal those 12 completed items. Now, I wondered if the search term I used was actually important, because remember I searched for completed? I went back in to the original list, which, by the way, removes any ability to see the completed items. They have disappeared again. And instead of searching for completed, I searched for boogers. Sure enough, any search term temporarily does reveal the completed items option. This software is totally ready for prime time. These complete failures to work as designed are probably enough to explain to you why I had to tell Steve yet again that we're abandoning a tool, going back to Wunderlist. But I'm going to throw a little more fuel on the fire and add that I dislike the method for adding dates and times to reminders when typing on iOS or macOS. Using Siri to add reminders with dates, times, and locations works really well, which is why I do use reminders all the time from my watch for, well, actual reminders. For closure here, since it had been many months since I last tested Microsoft To Do, I downloaded it again this week. I deleted all of the lists from the last time I tested, and I imported all of my Wunderlist data. At one point on my iPad Pro, I was looking at one list, and I simply couldn't do anything else. I couldn't add to it, I couldn't remove from it, I couldn't rearrange the list. I couldn't even switch to another list. Then I installed it on my iPad mini. I had to log into 1Password in order to connect to Microsoft, and the password manager got stuck. So I had to cancel out after entering my 20-character password. That's probably Apple or AgileBit's problems, but it left me cranky. Under my, well, I guess it's Apple either way. If it's reminders or if it's iOS, either way, that's Apple. Under my Christmas group, I have a list called Christmas Steve and one called Christmas Steve Al's version. The first is shared with Steve. The second one is not. I copy items from Steve's wish list into my version, and then I check them off when I'm done. And I don't want him to see that. Both lists were populated on my Mac, but on my iPad mini, the second one was empty. After a day, I went back in on the iPad mini, and it was still empty. And while I was looking at writing this up, it suddenly synced that one last folder. On iPhone, it's a completely different adventure. I can see all of the lists in To Do and a number next to each that shows me how many items are in there, and it matches those same lists on the other devices. But any list I tapped on opened a blank, untitled list. Seriously, it just says untitled. It's empty. Nothing there. Any list I tapped on did that. I quit the app and I reopened it, and then lists started to work. Microsoft To Do will probably get there, but every list has to sync everywhere and actually have the list items in them before I will be able to switch. I'll keep trying To Do until it's fully functional, but until then, I'm back on Wunderlist, at least for this holiday season. The bottom line is that I'm not a Luddite holding on to old technology for no reason. I'm trying really hard to get away from Wunderlist, but I keep getting foiled. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you are yelling things into your devices throughout this article because apparently that's the darling of the to-do list application fans. At $50 for just the Mac App Store version and another $10 for the iOS version, it's a bit steep. But on the other hand, I have spent about 128 hours converting to other options and back because nothing is quite up to my Wunderlist joy. So maybe this is one of those you get what you pay for situations. But I'm still going to wait and see if Microsoft To Do gets fully up to the task. They've made great progress, and I bet they'll get there. When they do finish, can one of you guys tell Steve that I'm moving him again? There we go.
Oh, you can't tell me?
You got rid of 10? You got rid of things after 10 years? Well, I'm afraid to tell you, Steve.
Yeah. I think I understand why.
Oh, why did you get rid of things after 10 years?
You know, they clutter up. You just got to...
Oh, he didn't use it. Give me your license key.
Someone else recommended another reminder app earlier.
Yeah, it was Jill. She said she used, what was it, Catalyst or something? And I said, so do a review. I need reviews, guys. Seriously. All right, it is time to play Pledge Break. Are you ready?
Pledge Break.
Oh, good. You can get into... Oh, it was a joke. All right, here we go. This is my favorite thing now. Let's see. Let me do this. And that'll let me do that. Which I think will let me do this. Nope. Not like that. Not that end. That end. Now let me do that. There we go. Hang on. See. Why is it not letting me pull that down? Right. That's not going to work. It's going to sound even worse. Well, let's see what happens. Him again. Okay. Here we go. I may stop and start if this is too quick. Can one of you guys tell Steve that I'm moving him again?
We'll return to our podcast in a few minutes with our next segment on why urbanites find turn signals so cumbersome and difficult to operate. I mean, honestly, who would have thought that could be passed on genetically? But first, I'd like to tell you how you can help bring such questionable content to yourself each and every week. It's through donations from such generous and ill-advised people such as yourselves. Your monthly Patreon gift of whatever you can afford, be it $5, $10, or your firstborn, helps produce such informative programming and helps the Sheridans pay off their extensive home renovation. And if you donate now, you'll receive a special limited one-time offer to be announced sometime after we receive the money. And if you're weary of subscriptions or even somewhat fond of your child, there's also a PayPal button at podfeet.com/help the show for single-time donations. Cheapskate. Or do you prefer to skate on through? You can still help with an anonymous review in iTunes, ask a dumb question, or record a review, or perhaps even buff wax Allison's Tesla. Don't make her rise early every morning and head outside to scour for aluminum cans she can recycle, all under the ruse of closing her rings or earning badges. Let's get her off the streets. It's as simple as that, even simpler than myself, in fact. Thanks for your support. Now, we return you to this week's next segment, courtesy of the Castaways, where Sandy shows us how to darn a sweater while negotiating Highway 101.
Oh my gosh,
that's
Frank.
priceless.
That one's going to go down in history. That's fantastic.
Yeah. That's on par with the Nightwise Honda Bob commercial.
That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah. Honda Bob.
That was great. I have to... should I respond to it or should I just go straight into security bits?
It's probably more effective. Well, it's up to you.
It'd be more effective to go right into security bits.
I think it would.
I mean, let's
Sandy wants a response.
Oh. All right.
But
we might have to take a vote.
We're tied.
Uh-oh. Let's hear how this would sound.
Sandy shows us how to darn a sweater while negotiating Highway 101.
Yes. I think that's the way to do
it. All right. He was thinking about Honda Bob too.
Oh, okay.
I actually used Honda Bob's book today. I'm going to do a segment on the difference between on the things that don't exist in my car. And I was trying to remember all of the different components of a car that I actually know something about, enough to say that I can say the word without flinching. And I couldn't remember. I wanted to just get a refresher. I thought, hey, Honda Bob had a segment where a bunch of sections where he explains all the different parts of a car and how it works. So I went ahead and used it.
And it turns out a lot of those parts have to do with the engine.
Are you making a joke?
No, it's just that's part of the reason why you don't have many of those anymore.
Oh, right. Let's see. That's option T. And then I get rid of
and
Bart
gas
on that one. What's that? Oh, gas.
And gas and fluids of many types.
Don't start talking about
Okay, we won't talk
gas.
about fluids.
You know what happens? I'm sure Kevin will make an inappropriate joke, and I'll let you. Do you guys want to hear Blink?
Yes, we always want to hear Blink.
Whoops. This one. I'll move them out.
Blink.
Well, it's that time of the week again. It's a 2-syllable blink.
Yeah, he dragged that one out. It's good.
It's when he's feeling frisky,
Does he know that we play that once in a while?
I don't know. Let's see. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for security bits with no chapter mark.
Uh-oh.
All my excitement about Frank. That was close. Security bits is probably the thing people want more than anything to have a chapter mark on, right?
Yeah. I mean, I go just to that. That's the only thing I listen to.
You don't even listen to that. I'm getting hungry. I can hear my stomach growling. All right, let's listen to a little bit of this. Ooh, 5:56. We did goof around. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for security bits with Bart Bouchatz. I feel like I talked to you yesterday. How are you doing today, Bart?
I'm doing just fine. Let me see. 22 hours since we got off the call last?
I think so. Well,
I think
anything
you got a
exciting happening in
mismatch.
security land?
We have.
Is it too late?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
His
sure.
voice is later than yours.
Later.
Either delay yours or
There's
speed
the
up.
lag.
There you go. Maybe a bit much, but
Talked to you
little
yesterday. How are you doing today, Bart?
that's
It's a little bit. Got to be a gap on either side.
There we go.
Yesterday. How are you doing today, Bart?
I'm doing just fine. Let me see. 22 hours since we got off the call last?
I think so. Well, anything exciting happening in security land?
We have. Yeah. I mean,
I don't understand why he's peaking. Do you see where the white line is there?
Yeah.
I even made him change his AU Dynamics processor, and it's still happening. That's on his recording. And if I bring in my recording of him, it won't be. Yeah, it's mostly leveled off, but he set his to be exactly what I have for him. What do you think? What's this?
His
guy?
mic just
Microsoft's doing some stuff
hotter.
with it, right? No, but I record him. This is his recording of him. I record him too, and he's not too hot on mine. Which doesn't make any sense. All right, let's go to the end here. All righty, we'll talk to you again in a couple. Oops, right there. All right, let's see. Well, I told you guys last week that I needed recordings, and Frank not only did Pledge Break, he sent in a fantastic review, but I'm going to save it because you can't have too much Frank in 1 week. That would be overdoing it. But I'm going to save it for when I need it, probably Christmas week. But I got to tell you, it's even better than his Pledge Break. It's fantastic. But I'm telling you all that by way of saying, please send in recordings. It would really help me to flesh out the show without having to sneak off and record while I would really rather be having some holiday cheer with my family. We got to keep the show going. If it's, a 5-minute segment by Frank and then I wind up the show, that's what you'll get. But it would be great if you guys, dusted some stuff off your desk and, grabbed your stapler, like I said last week, and do a review on it. That would be fantastic. You got a favorite app, you got some menu bar app you like, you want to rant about Catalina, whatever you want to talk about. If it's tech, you should bring it on to the NosillaCast. But it's time to not forget to send in your dumb questions. Those count too. Your comments, suggestions, you can send in your recordings to me by emailing me at allison@podfeet.com. And you can follow me on Twitter @podfeet. If you're looking for that Patreon thing that he was talking about, that Frank talked about, podfeet.com/Patreon. Want to join our Slack community I was talking about earlier? Podfeet.com/Slack. Still like Facebook? We got a Facebook group too. Podfeet.com/Facebook. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Come on. Rant about Allison? Yes. Sure, why not? You can talk about how you wouldn't even listen to the show if it wasn't for Bart, whatever you got to do. All right, I'm going to move that one up, move that one down, negative 17 or so. I hate it when I do that. That's accidental. Not the Accidental Tech Podcast. Is that what you're laughing about?
It's just the Accidental Podcast.
Castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. And that's where it is. I think I could recognize that waveform by now, but I don't. There we go. Stayed clear of the family. Yeah, I always kind of like it when somebody's got a tech problem because then I can sneak off into the other room and go work on it, right? All right, I'm going to export this bad boy. And there we go. Hey, I'm thinking it's time to go to 64 kilobit or to 128 kilobits per second instead of 64. What do you guys think?
You need more audio quality?
Well, it would be a lot better. Yeah. Make
double the
file
size.
Like this file will probably be 30 megabytes. It'll be like 60 megabytes. Is there any reason you were at your grandmother's funeral and you were asked to fix the network?
Oh my god!
The higher the better. So is it time to stop worrying about bandwidth on the size of podcast files? Frank votes for higher quality
or storage size, depending on how people are consuming.
Rick says go higher. Oh, good. Oh, and
Frank says higher the better.
Yeah.
I see no dissenting opinions.
Kevin says higher. Do Dolby Atmos.
Dolby Atmos.
Thanks.
7.1.
I've also had trouble with oh gosh, I thought of another one another problem I've got with Catalina. That it's not saving my window file size in the Finder. Have you noticed that?
No. That wouldn't be related to what we saw with the NDI, would it? I don't know. That would be not connected.
I don't think so. Okay with anything. Flack. Oh, Dave says higher. Flack. All right. Morse code. Good job, John. Hey, have we already talked to John about what he thinks of For All Mankind?
No. What do you, John? Are you listening? Let's see. I don't see him in the live show. Listen, but he may be listening.
He just answered. He just wrote Morse code just now. He's usually in. He's done live show. Listen, he watches the YouTubes.
So what do you think of it? Are you watching it, John? I think it's a great show. That's just me. Anything
haven't seen it?
space.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Do you have Apple TV Plus? Stop turning the lights off. There we go.
Turn it on.
I got it. I waved my arms. If it's one, I can't fix it. David, you giving me flack? Chill's doing Morse code. Well, things have gone off the rails here. Not signed up for it yet. Okay. All right. Well, it is 6:04. I've kept you guys late after class. Let's see. Is Rose still here? Rose is still here, so I'll kiss you goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye, Rose. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you in a week. Go make recordings. Jill, you've got your assignment. Anybody else got that assignment? All right. Say goodbye, Steve.
Good night, Gracie.